Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the throne room. I am so excited today to have our next conversation here. We are going to be having an awesome time as we celebrate Black History Month and begin our celebration of Women History Month. Today, we have an extra special guest. Her name is Kayren Carter Mjumbe, and she is the president and senior curator of Museums in Motion of Princeton, New Jersey. We're going to give her an extra warm welcome today. We're excited to have her. You know, every week we've been having some phenomenal guests, and we're just excited for what she's going to bring to us today. So let's give everyone a few moments to get in, and then the next voice we'll kind of get to hear after I do a great introduction for her and get to tell you guys all about who she is. Will be from Mrs. Kayren Carter Mjumbe. Kay, let's give them a few minutes. If you want to just share any information in the meantime while we're waiting for people to come in, you can. But if you want to tell them about your website, where they can go and visit you, if you want to do that, you can do this now.
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to this platform. They may not want to know too much about the website right now because I am not anybody to them. But just in case, it is museumsinmotion.org. And once again, we are a virtual / traveling African American history museum. So we actually have programs on a virtual platform. And starting in September, we will be traveling again to school districts and other facilities.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So that people do know who you are, I'm just going to give some background about who you are. So not only are you my friend, my sister friend, you my friend in Christ, were my first lady, all of that good stuff.
You have to put all my business out there.
Yes, you're everything to me. But you are, as I said, the president and senior curator for Museums in Motion. This is really an organization that is a traveling African American history museum, which is dedicated to educating the country on legendary and unknown African Americans throughout history. Museums in Motion is currently operating on a virtual platform due to the pandemic. But Kayren herself, she is a native of Birmingham, Alabama, which is, if no one knows, the heart of the civil rights movement. And she has been a resident of the state of New Jersey for 10 years. She is also one of the founders of an organization called Black Girls in Business. And essentially, this organization brings together women of color who own their own businesses. Lastly, something fun to know about her is that when she isn't working on building her museum, she enjoys sign language, which I didn't know, and I've just found out as well, which she actually teaches children to do as well as watching romantic and other thriller African American movies. So it is so good to have you here again, Kay, and we welcome you, and we can't wait to see all of the goodies that you have in store for us today. So as we get started, tell us a little bit about how you got started with this work and why. Why was it important to you?
Okay, so I will give you the generic version. I'll give you the version with no picture on the box. Okay, just real brief. I was working at a school in Princeton, New Jersey, about 6 or 7 years ago, and every Friday, the students, the older children, were able to select a class. They could select on their own, and for about an hour and a half every Friday, they could choose their own class. So they had classes such as paranormal activity, okay? And yes, because the teachers, came up with their own courses. So paranormal activity was one, Frisbee was another one, and it was just an interesting array of different subjects. So I said, there's nothing regarding history as far as African American history, and I thought actually there's nothing for kids of color,
Right.
Quiz Bowl is cool, it's fun. I'm sure they had a kick out of paranormal activity, but I said they could be learning something about African American history. So I came up with a group called the Pioneers, and it was a real big hit. We had one point, to be honest, I had more white and Asian students in the group than I had Black children,
Wow.
which was interesting. Uh, one one day, I was thinking, I said, Black History Month is coming up. We need to do a project to invite the whole school and even some of the parents. And I said, let's do a Black History Museum. And we featured it in the school gallery. It grew, people loved it. I was getting notes from actual strangers that, not strangers, but parents coming into school who I had no idea who they were, saying, this is great, this is so interesting. We did it year after year. In 2016, I ended up getting laid off from there. Had no idea I was going to be laid. No idea I was going to be laid off. My goal actually was to resign in 2017 to start my organization, but things happen. As you know, things happen all the time, out of our control. So I was laid off, and I did a few odd jobs for a while, but basically that's how it came about, and that's how I started Museums in Motion.
That's a phenomenal story. And isn't it funny where we think we have our own plans, right? And we're pushed into other plans. And so there we go. We're forced into doing something that we might say we're not necessarily ready for. But as we go into the next big part of this, we really want to know how you actually do what you do. And I'm going to share, as you kind of share with us how you do it, I'm going to share a video clip that you've given us so that others can see as well.
All righty. So you may notice on this particular display is called Amazing Black Women, and we offer about 7 different areas of African American history. So if you decided you wanted us to come out more than once, we could do a different theme. Now that was Diana Ross actually with the glitter shoes. Can you go back one, or is it possible to go back? Never mind. I don't want to throw it off.
No, it's back. Is it?
Okay, no, here we go. This is fine.
Right
This is
here?
the beginning. Yeah, this particular exhibit is actually, I made it for a school, and there are a few women in here. They're all of color except a few.
Okay.
And Lucille Ball is in this one. This one is amazing women from around the world. So we custom did this particular exhibit for National Women's Month about 2 years ago.
This is good.
Yeah, so yeah, we have quite a few. I think there were 50 women actually selected to be included in this museum event. The circus, the ringmaster outfit right there symbolizes a woman who lost her boys were kidnapped for the circus, but she fought to get them back. Um, let's see, who is that right there? Oh, Debbie Thomas. You see the ice skates representing Debbie Thomas, and the gold medals around her neck. And then there's the one with Lucille Ball. Like I said, this was for National Women's Month, so there are a few women that are not women of color. Ruby Bridges is sitting on the right-hand corner. Hi. You see she has the little girl with the bow in her hair. That's Ruby Bridges, who was one of the first individuals to integrate schools in New Orleans. And
so these dresses that we see here, all of these costumes, are they costumes that are coming from specific people? Are they representation or something? Do you collect these items?
I collect them all the time. As a matter of fact, people donate things to me, and maybe we can talk about that at the end. But this particular dress I had made, actually, I actually had it custom made for the event. I needed something to represent the Miss America pageant. And those women behind the dress, I know you didn't particularly ask me that, but those represent from the very first woman who was allowed to compete in Miss America, because of course we weren't always allowed to compete in the competition, from Vanessa Williams to the first Miss America who has a disability. If you can see her holding her arm up in the air, that's Heather Whitestone, who is hearing impaired, to Miss Universe on the far right side. But the dresses, let me go back to your question. The dresses, I have 1 or 2 that were actually, I found that were perfect representations of some of the women that we feature in the display, and then some were donated. And they just are a perfect fit for the different themes and topics that we exhibit.
Yeah, they go perfectly.
Mm-hmm. And that's Michelle Obama. A
Yes.
little bit of the guy she's married to, not too much. But Michelle Obama right there, and a representation of one of the black ball gowns that she wore to some of the elite events that they would frequent during the time that they had the Obama administration.
Yeah.
And over here to the right of Michelle is Coretta and Bernice King, which is why we have the reverence, the robe, the clergy robe. So Coretta King is actually the black and white picture, and Bernice is to her right, from where I'm looking to her right,
Here and there.
perched up on on the display box. And also, I'd like to add these materials. There are some materials that I have thrown, actually draped, I should say draped across the front of the tables, and they are pieces that I actually collected when I visited Ghana several years ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
This young lady, exactly in the center in front, she has a Harvard shirt. So she is Haben Girma, and she's the first deafblind graduate from Harvard Law School. She actually received her law degree, and she advocates, and she's an advocate for people with disabilities.
Yeah, and we'll hear a little bit more about her during our session in a few, right? Yeah,
Correct.
I'm excited.
Correct. Who could forget about Diana Ross? Diana Ross will always
Yes,
be the boss. That's what I say. So right here we have representation of when she was Dorothy in the Wiz. If you can see the witch's hat and the glittery shoes, she played Dorothy in the Wiz along with Nipsey Russell and Michael Jackson back in the '70s. And something that you probably don't know about me is about 2 or 3 times a week when I get up in the morning, I play that song from the Wiz called "Brand New Day," and it kind of just gets me going and gets me, no, realizing, whatever it is that you're sad or worried about, get it out your head. It's a brand new day. Just
that's
move forward.
good. Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Yeah, thank you. Lena Horne. Lena Horne featured right there on the left. Um, who else do we have? That is Flojo in the middle. Who could forget Flojo? So
Yeah.
these are just some dynamic women featured in our amazing women display.
Well, it looks like it's absolutely amazing and fun time and opportunity. And so I want to invite our viewers to really ask questions. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to drop them in the comment box below. We want to hear from you guys. Like and share, invite your kids to this conversation. A lot of our children are not aware of any of these people. They might hear about Martin Luther King, of course, but we have some phenomenal people in our history and Black history, especially that no one ever talks about, but they've made some phenomenal strides and movements that we
Absolutely.
should acknowledge. And
Absolutely.
I thank you so much, Kay, for making this type of platform available for people to be able to come in and really have conversation about who people are and what they did for us. And I guess my question before we go into to our really big event is to talk and kind of ask you about why is it important for us to create these types of platforms and speak about the things in which people in our past have really done for us.
Well, sorry, I don't want something is printing in the back of me, so I'm
It's
trying
okay.
not for you not to hear it. We have so many individuals. We have so many individuals that are not featured or not spoken of in history books.
Right.
So the movie Hidden Figures, actually, if you remember Hidden Figures from
Mhm.
a few years ago, those women had been around for decades and no one had heard of them. So I decided once actually when I started the Pioneers that this is something that we need to venture out and we need to make more communities, more school districts aware of our history. The curriculums remain the same throughout. We have, and not taking anything away from them, but Dr. King, Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman. Sometimes you may get a little bit of Malcolm X, it just depends. but it's the same individuals, the Montgomery bus boycotts, same individuals are represented over and over again. One time I was at a particular school in Princeton, and a young man, he was probably in the sixth or seventh grade, he said, "Is Michael Jackson black?" Or was he black? I mean, honestly, he said, "Was he?" He said, "Why is Michael Jackson in the Black History Museum?" And I said, okay."
There's a whole lot of more to this conversation.
There you go. There you go. So basically, that is one reason why I continue to push it and why I won't stop, because we need to know our history. Even adults, you'll be surprised how many adults don't know. Even I don't know a lot of things. I'm still learning. So I
Yeah.
just have a mission to, like I said, educate the country on our people.
Yeah. So as I think about what you just said, I want to go into really some of the things that you are really doing and some of the people that you're highlighting. So I'm excited to add to our stream today, Museums in Motion, a virtual field trip whereby people can go in and clients of yours really get an opportunity to visit even without visiting you in person. So we're going to take a moment to kind of hear from them. Let's see. I don't know.
Well, these are some of the women featured in Amazing Women. Yara Shahidi, who was the actress on Blackish. I think she's on a different show, her own show called, is it Grownish? Or I think it's
I
called,
have no idea.
yeah, I think it's called Grownish, when she went off to college. But
Yeah.
Yara is an amazing young woman who actually has been acting since she was 6 years old. She was 5 or 6 years old, and she started something with Eddie Murphy called Imagine That. I don't. Can we fast forward this a little bit?
Yeah, we sure can.
Okay. So there. I don't want to talk over her.
I don't.
Starring opposite Eddie Murphy in the Paramount picture Imagine That. She received a Young Artist Award nomination for the Best Actress Performance in a Feature category. Shahidi founded 18 times 18, which is a platform to help encourage peers to vote for the very first time in upcoming elections. Her activism was mentioned by former First Lady Michelle Obama, who wrote her a letter for a recommendation to Harvard University.
That was a great overview of who she was. Is there anything else that you want to highlight with the people about her?
She is very adamant about registering, helping young people register to vote. So one thing that she's always doing when she's not acting on set is she's trying to recruit individuals to help her with her organization. Or I shouldn't say she's trying. She's allowing people to help her with her organization and making them understand the importance of voting and the privilege of voting. So that's one of her passions.
That's good. So we have another individual, Ellen Craft, who you also have in here.
Simone.
Oh, well, let's see. We'll highlight Simone Biles since she's here. Did you want to give us a quick, brief talk about Simone?
I don't know what I can say that doesn't speak to just, you know what, just seeing what she does speaks volumes over what I can say. So we'll watch the clip.
Adrienne Biles is an American artistic gymnast with a combined total of 30 Olympic and World Championship medals.
Well, it doesn't matter what you look like. You can strive for greatness and you can be great.
She is the most decorated American gymnast known. She's also a member of the 2019 World Artistic Gymnastics Competition. Biles first tried gymnastics at 6 years old as part of a daycare field trip. The instructor suggested she continue with gymnastics. She began her elite career at the age of 14 at the 2011 American Classic in Houston. She placed third all around, first on vault and balance beam, fourth on floor exercise, and eighth on uneven bars. At the 2016 Summer Olympics in Rio de Janeiro, Biles won individual gold medals in all around, vault and floor, bronze in balance beam, and gold as part of the United States team. In her spare time, she loves hanging out with her 4 German shepherds and eating her favorite food, which is pizza.
That's cute. That's phenomenal. She's a phenomenal young woman. Every time I hear her story, I'm always amazed. And I also think about why it's so important to have field trips at school, right? So we think about all of the restrictions that our government places on a lot of the things that our education system can do. When we have field trips, we open our children's eyes to things that they might not have ever seen or known about. So imagine if she didn't go on that field trip. She would have never known.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. She may not have been the Olympic gold medalist that we see today. And there was a young lady, she was 7 years old. I'll never forget. We went to visit a school, I think in Somerset, and she wrote a little, teacher had her write a note, and she said, "This is the first time I've ever been to a museum."
Wow.
So you're absolutely right.
Yeah. Well, we're now going to take our next look into our next
Ellen
lady.
Craft was born a slave in Macon, Georgia. She was married to a gentleman by the name of William Craft. To escape slavery, Ellen, who was a light-skinned black woman, disguised herself as a male slave owner. Her husband William, who was a darker-skinned slave, posed as her valet. Ellen took advantage of her appearance as a lighter-skinned black while the pair traveled by train and boat to the north. She dressed as a man since at the time it was not customary for white women to travel alone, let alone with an enslaved person.
Boy, where are you going?
Philadelphia, sir.
For what purpose?
I'm traveling with my master.
You better get him out, and be mighty quick about it. The train will be leaving soon. It's against my rules to let any man take a slave past here. Unless he can satisfy the chief officer that he has a right to take him along.
You wish to see me, sir?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because, sir, we cannot let any slave pass here unless we have security to show and to satisfy that everything is in. Is there anyone who can endorse you and show us this is your property?
No.
Suppose you were an abolitionist, and this they will not. Well, if he were to escape, we would have to compensate his rightful owner. Those are the rules. So tell him to let the gentleman his left pass.
Powerful story.
Very.
I think about, I'm just thinking about all of the, all of the things that we had to go through as a people to really reach the point of freedom that we are. I'm thinking about as I've been on this journey towards healing, right? And we've been taking people through a healing journey about how these particular stories really cause us to have to think about what it takes and what it took to get to the next part of life, right? And that some healing had to happen there too, right? There were some things that needed to happen. How do you think that some of these stories has really helped us as a community or as a people, or how can they help us as a community as we tell and you give this platform for these stories to be told? How can it help us heal as a community?
So you said, how can it help us? What was the rest?
Heal as a community. So as you created this platform to tell these stories, these are really dynamic stories of struggle, hurt, triumph, right? And overcoming. I'm sure that in that, it might not have been at the forefront of your thinking, but there is healing that had to happen in that. And so I asked, how does this help our community to find healing?
Well, regardless of whether it's very minimal or whether it's a enormous amount of pain, we've all had struggles in some aspect. And looking at these women or looking at some of the people on my display, everyone I think has a connection with someone in terms of where they had to come from.
Yeah.
I think, and one example with Ellen is the one young lady that we just watched. She was a very, very fair skinned slave, and this was held against her by black slaves, and of course the slave masters still treated her as a slave. So we have to just pull depth from within ourselves to make it, no matter what we have, no matter who we are. And I think that we can all relate to some of these stories in different ways.
Yeah.
So
That's good. So I would say it's just even in giving and hearing the story, right? It helps us understand who we are, which helps us in our healing process too, right?
absolutely. And she is just one of the, I would say that she's one of the individuals who people always say, I've never heard of her, or never heard of her and William Craft before. So another important aspect of why we do what we do.
Yeah. So I skimmed through someone really quickly. I don't know if you want to tell us about who she is, but this picture right here, I love talking about her. So I'm going to ask if you could just give us a quick snapshot of who she is, even though she wasn't one of our women we were going to cover today.
Absolutely. So Sarah Breedlove, better known as Madam C.J. Walker, who was the first African American self-made millionaire. And just quickly, she came from a time where she was born the last of 5 children. Everyone in her family actually was born into slavery except for Sarah Breedlove. And she elevated. She came from a period where she had nothing. You know, her parents were sharecroppers after they were released as slaves, and she grew from being an orphan at 7, married 3 times by the time she was 21, a widow, a mother of a child, to building an empire. So she talked about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. She is a phenomenal woman, and a lot of people don't know that she was also heavily into civil rights. She just wasn't the inventor of hair care products. She was heavily into civil rights, and she tried to carry on her legacy. She left her empire to her only daughter. But I could talk about Madam Walker all day. So
Right. I know. And I'm like, ladies, if y'all don't know, she helped us keep them edges laid and scalp moisturized. So that's good. So we're going to go back into one of the ladies who you highlighted earlier today.
Harbin Girma is an American disability rights advocate and the first blind deaf graduate of Harvard Law School. She lost her vision and hearing as a result of an unknown progressive condition beginning in early childhood. Growing up in the United States, Girma benefited from civil rights laws, including the Americans with Disabilities Act. She also had accessible technology, such as a digital braille device, something that her older brother, who was also deafblind, did not have access to.
I have a braille computer. On the bottom are braille dots, and I'm running my fingers over the dots to feel the letters. This is connected wirelessly to a keyboard, and my typist is typing what you're saying. The words are popping up here, and I'm running my fingers over the dots, then responding back by voice.
She graduated from Skyline High School, a mainstream public school, in 2006. Harbin attended Lewis and Clark College, where she successfully advocated for her legal rights to accommodations in the school cafeteria when she demanded that there should be a menu in Braille for blind students. President Barack Obama named her a White House Champion of Change. She received the Helen Keller Achievement Award, a spot on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list, and Time 100 Talks.
That is a phenomenal story. It speaks to so many different things. I don't even want to know where to kind of start. I don't even think I want to start on it because I'm like, listen, this is why it's so important for us to get out and vote. This is why it's so important for us to come and advocate for our children in this education system. This is why we need people to continue to foster their creative juices, to continue to create things. I just think about the unlimited mindset that she has to have, the internal motivation that she had to have in order to do the things that she's doing. It's just a phenomenal story. Every time I hear this story, it touches me.
Absolutely. And it just makes me, and I'll be honest, sometimes ashamed of times. And I say, you know what? I don't feel like fighting the fight today. I don't feel like, going into it with this person, whatever. She was in her cafeteria at Lewis and Clark College where she attended school. And she noticed that there was no way that she could order her lunches. They had no braille, anything for students with disabilities. So she fought for the students there with disabilities. And all from that, she ended up becoming the first blind deaf graduate from Harvard Law School. So, like you said, phenomenal woman, has written at least 2 books, and she's a young woman. She's in her 30s.
Yeah. So what would you say to someone or people who are thinking about, hey, I know and I have some information about people and things that I think should be shared. What advice would you give them to be able to create a platform, not exactly like this, but similar, where they're giving voice to information that they might have?
Well, it doesn't have to be anything extravagant. You can use whatever you have to reach people around you. I have been I have been waiting for a train to come in at the train station, and just started talking to people around me about Black history. Sometimes you just have chit chat, and I just use depending on sometimes where I am and what I'm doing. You can always use opportunities to share information. There are going to be people who want to listen. There are going to be people who don't want to listen, but it's up to you to provide it.
Right.
So people can always, and of course, all the media platforms, Instagram and Facebook and everything that we have today, there's 1,000 ways that we can share information. And I like the old fashioned. I like being able to speak to people face to face, and that works. That works too. I like having this interaction and regular conversation. But just take advantage of where you are. Take advantage of what you do, the people you know. It's unlimited.
Yeah. So we do have a question that asked was, do you have a favorite? And why? Do you have a favorite person that you'd like to highlight and why?
A favorite person overall. It's so many, so many. One of them I really enjoy though is Ellen. I like talking about Ellen Craft, Ellen and William, and
Yeah.
their brave escape, because it is just phenomenal. Now, just imagine how she had to put not only her mindset, she had to pretend to be someone for days that she wasn't, and put herself in in the mode of being not only white but a man. Can you
Yeah.
imagine how difficult that was? And
Yeah.
everything they had was riding on her. So she's one of the favorites that I'd like to talk about.
That's good. I like that. We're going to go into the snapshots that we had that you prepared for us, and you can kind of tell us a little bit about that. In the meantime, we're getting ready to come to our end of our segment. So if you have any more questions, please feel free to drop them in the comment box below. We do want to hear from you guys. And
Absolutely.
here we go. There we go.
Okay, so right now, actually, we do have one exhibit up during Black History Month here in Princeton, and this is called Legends of the Arts. This particular exhibit focuses on Lena Horne, Sidney Poitier, Langston Hughes, the Harlem Renaissance, the Supremes, and Paul Robeson, who is from Princeton. So that particular gown that you see centered in the middle is a depiction of Lena Horne in all of her beautiful movies and just some of her roles that she's played over the 60-year course. That is Garrett Morgan, the inventor of the three-way traffic light. As you can see, one of his pictures at the bottom from his years of science, and he invented other products too, but the traffic light is what he's best known for.
And so you said this is playing right now in Princeton. This is the museum that's up in the Princeton.
Well, not this particular one, but the first picture that you featured, that's in Princeton right now. Yes.
Okay, good.
And this is just a view of one of our larger. We have different sizes that we offer for our displays. So this is a picture of one of our larger displays, and you can't even see all of it. But the Supremes, those three dresses that are featured right there. Those represent the Supremes, and the Tuskegee Airman jacket over to the far left. This one was called African. Um, I can't remember exactly which one this was. This is probably just a combination. So, of course, everybody loves the
Yes.
Jackson 5, and that's an actual off the wall Michael Jackson record. If you can see it at the bottom, I need to find that too. I don't know where that is.
Wow.
I need to find it really quick. So we have the fringe vest that they used to wear back in the 70s, and one of the vintage shirts, of course, that they all wore. I love the Jackson 5. Never gets old. I can listen to Rock with You every day.
I love the fact that you got the good face.
Yes. Okay, so there's part of the exhibit that actually is featured right now in Princeton. Um, the Jackson 5 again featured on the right with the vintage pants. Those are those actual orange pants. Those are some of the
These
vintage
are
pants.
oh
Yep. Harlem Renaissance. We were talking about the fashion and how the women always wore these extravagant nightgowns when they went out for the nightlife with the huge feathery boas around it. It reminds you of Harlem Nights a little bit, right?
yeah. Yes.
So yeah, so the Harlem Renaissance, this is just a little snippet of that era with the fashion. And once again, the women display that we have featuring, this is Michelle Obama's portion from the time. If you can see the little black and white one in the middle, that's her
This
wedding
right
day.
here.
Yep,
Yeah.
right in the middle, that's her wedding day picture with Barack. I call her that like I know him, with President Obama. My fault.
Well, listen, people love them. They're like the iconic prototype of how we would love the Black family to look, right?
Absolutely.
And this is one of my favorites. I love this picture when you sent it over.
Thank you. So this is this is me actually dressed up as Madam C.J. Walker. And one of our platforms, like virtual platforms that we've offered, is a skit production, and they have been so popular lately. Thank God that we're offering to everyone around the country. We played Madam C.J. Walker, and we have a dialogue, me and another actress, about her life.
Yeah, that's good. So how can people connect with you? Does it have to be for a single group of people? Can it be for a family, or like how do we find out how to connect with you for these
So,
particular programs?
okay, so if you can see the information that is rolling across the bottom of the screen, it gives our website. It's museumsinmotion.org. Museums with an S, you have to put the S on it. And also, if you want to send us an email, museumsinmotion@gmail.com, as well as, oh, well, our phone number isn't on there, but the phone number is 205, because I still have, I'm in New Jersey, but I still have my Birmingham connection. So it's 205-382-3097. You can gladly call me or send me a text message if you have any questions. So between those ways, we also have on our website, if you would like to make a
Can you hold
request.
on, Karen? Karen, can you repeat the phone number? You went kind of fast.
Oh, sorry. 205-382-3097.
Good. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I was saying also on our website, it gives all of our information on the types of themes that we offer. There's an area that says Exhibits Explained. And if you just drop down on that, it'll tell you all about the different themes that we offer.
That's great. Well, we really want to thank you for your time this afternoon. Thank you for sharing all of the insights and all of the things that you have put your blood, sweat, and tears into to kind of collect and really do the work of trying to get these stories out. We thank you for caring for our children enough to say that this was something that was important and that was needed in our education system. We thank you for being creative in your thought process about how to continue to get the word out as we go through the pandemic. And so we just want to just continue to support you. And so I just tell and ask our viewers, please go over to the website, visit. If you have a school, if you have an after school program, I just think of so many different creative ways in which we can utilize. Yes, go ahead, tell them about the different platforms and groups that you've actually presented.
So we have presented for so many different individuals and different platforms. Schools, of course, are our largest clients, but libraries, churches, social groups, retirement facilities, even if you're interested, we have had a request just this week from a young lady that works at a facility where individuals who've been recently released from correctional facilities, I forgot exactly what they're called, but we're doing a performance for them this week. So no group is eliminated. We would love to just have you just contact us. We would love to just share our history with everyone. It has no barriers.
I think that even for companies and corporations, as I think about social responsibility and different things like that, I think about how different corporations and companies can utilize your services in order to educate, especially as they've been thinking about creating these courageous conversations and creating these ERGs whereby they're having diversity and inclusion conversations, that this would be a great start in the conversation. It's just giving awareness and looking into what history really says and what was really happening back then.
Absolutely.
Again, Kay, I want to thank you for your time. It was a phenomenal experience that we got to share together today. I hope that everyone who visited us today in the throne room was able to see a different part of your history and your life, and that you felt some type of something that moved you to say, hey, let me move out on that step of faith, right? That we have a leap of faith to step out on something, even if it looks small and it might seem mundane or stupid, right? That you have the gumption and the courage to step out on faith and follow your heart and your dreams. Because look, this was just an idea that came from a classroom setting, right? And it's now all over. And we thank you for taking that leap of faith and having the courage to do this for your community, Kay.
Thank you. Thank you so much for bringing me and asking me to be on today. I really enjoyed it. And if anyone wants to reach out to me, no question is stupid. No question is something that we have not probably already heard before. So just reach out to us if you have any questions, and via text, that's fine too. If you're like a person that's always on your phone and you're just busy, feel free to shoot me a text. I would love to hear from you.
Well, thank you for being accessible to the people. Well, everybody, thank you for stepping into the throne room where we take the cover off. We took the cover off of our Black history today, and I hope that it was insightful. Until next time, we will see you next week. Please look out for the special advertisement that we will be having coming out within, I think we're going to do it tonight, about next week's showcase. So we'll meet back in the throne room next Wednesday at 5 p.m. We'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.